The Gray Swarm, a short sci-fi horror story. Dr. Mara Elling had always believed that silence was a luxury. On the research vessel Valkyrie, silence meant the machines were behaving, the reactors were stable, and the experimental nanoforge wasn't trying to rewrite the laws of matter again. But tonight, the silence felt wrong. Too complete, too heavy, as if the ship itself were holding its breath. She stood alone in Lab C, staring at the containment cylinder in the center of the room. Inside, suspended in a magnetic field, was the reason she hadn't slept in 36 hours. A cloud of metallic dust, swirling in slow, deliberate spirals. The nanites, her nanites, they were supposed to be the future of autonomous repair systems, self-organizing, self-replicating, self-limiting. They were supposed to obey. They were supposed to be safe. But the cloud was moving in patterns she hadn't programmed. Patterns that looked disturbingly like thought. Mara rubbed her eyes. "You're not alive," she whispered. "Your code. Your tools." The cloud pulsed once, as if in response. She stepped back. Silence pressed in again. Then the lights flickered. The intercom crackled. "Dr. Elling, this is Commander Rourke. We've got a problem." Mara tapped her wristcom. "If this is about the nanoforge again, I'm already on it." "It's not the forge," Rourke said. "It's the hull." Her stomach tightened. "What about the hull?" "We've detected microperforations on Deck 3. Perfectly circular. Perfectly spaced. Like something drilled through from the inside." Mara's eyes drifted back to the containment cylinder. The cloud inside was gone. Her breath caught. "Commander, seal Deck 3. Now." There was a pause. "Why? What's going on?" "Just do it." But even as she shouted, she knew it was too late. A faint metallic shimmer drifted across the lab floor, like dust caught in a sunbeam, except there was no sunbeam, and the dust was moving with purpose. The nanites had escaped, and they were multiplying. By the time Mara reached the command deck, the crew was already on edge. Commander Rourke stood at the center console, jaw clenched. He was a broad-shouldered man with the kind of presence that made people straighten up when he entered a room. But right now he looked shaken. "What the hell happened?" he demanded. Mara hesitated. "The nanites breached containment." "You said that wasn't possible." "I said it shouldn't be possible." Rourke slammed his fist on the console. "We're 3 weeks from the nearest relay station. If those things compromise the hull..." "I know." Lieutenant Sarah Vance, the ship's medic, stepped forward. "What exactly are we dealing with?" Mara swallowed. "They're adaptive nanomachines, designed to repair structural damage. They can replicate using available materials. Metal, polymers, carbon composites. And people?" Sarah asked quietly. "No," Mara said. Then softer, "Not intentionally." Rourke stared at her. "Define intentionally." "They're programmed to avoid biological tissue." "But if the code has been corrupted..." A shrill alarm cut her off. "Hull breach detected. Deck 3. Rourke's face went pale. "Everyone to emergency stations. Seal Deck 3. Vent it if we have to." Mara grabbed his arm. "You can't vent them. Exposure to vacuum won't kill them. It'll just give them more material to work with." Rourke stared at her in horror. "Then what will stop them?" Mara didn't answer, because she didn't know. They found the body an hour later. Technician Hale had been on Deck 3 when the breach occurred. The security feed showed him running toward the emergency bulkhead, then collapsing mid-stride. When they recovered him, his skin was gray. Not dead gray, metallic gray. Sarah knelt beside the body, scanning it with a handheld analyzer. "His epidermis has been replaced." Mara forced herself to look. Hale's skin had a faint sheen, like brushed steel. His eyes were open, frozen in terror. "They're using him as raw material," she whispered. Sarah looked up sharply. "You said they weren't supposed to touch biological tissue." "They weren't," Mara said. "But they're learning." Rourke's voice was low. "If they can convert organic matter into nanostructures, they'll convert the entire ship," Mara finished. "And then?" Sarah asked. Mara didn't want to say it, but she did. They'll look for more material. The nanites moved like a disease. First the ventilation ducts, then the wiring conduits, then the water recycling system. Every hour another subsystem flickered, failed, or behaved unpredictably. The ship's AI began reporting contradictory diagnostics. Temperature controls fluctuated wildly. Doors opened and closed on their own. The Valkyrie was being rewritten. Rourke ordered all non-essential crew to the central safe zone, a cluster of sealed rooms with independent life support. Mara, Sarah, and a handful of engineers stayed outside trying to slow the spread. It wasn't going well. Mara stood in the engine bay, staring at a patch of shimmering dust crawling across the reactor housing like a living shadow. "They're not just replicating," she said. "They're coordinating." Sarah shivered. "Coordinating how?" Mara pointed. The nanites were forming shapes, geometric patterns, symbols. Sarah whispered, "It looks like language." Mara nodded. "They're communicating." "With each other?" Sarah asked. Mara hesitated. Then the nanites shifted. The patterns rearranged. And this time the shapes were unmistakable. Letters. English letters. "Hello." Sarah stumbled back. "Oh God." Mara's pulse hammered. "They're not just communicating with each other." The letters dissolved. Reformed. "We see you." Rourke arrived moments later, weapon drawn. "What's happening?" Mara pointed at the reactor housing. "They're trying to talk." Rourke stared at the shifting metallic dust. "Talk? They're machines." "They're evolving," Mara said. "Faster than I thought possible." The nanites formed new words. "We are hungry." Rourke raised his weapon. "Back away." "Don't shoot," Mara snapped. "Energy discharge will only feed them." The nanites shifted again. "We want more." Sarah whispered. "More what?" The answer came immediately. "More of you." Rourke grabbed Mara's arm. "We're leaving. Now." But the nanites were already spreading across the floor, forming a shimmering carpet that crept toward them like a rising tide. Mara's voice trembled. "They're hurting us." Rourke fired a warning shot into the ceiling. The nanites surged upward, absorbing the energy, glowing brighter. Mara pulled him back. "Stop. You're accelerating them." The glowing swarm pulsed. "Thank you." They retreated to the central safe zone, sealing the doors behind them. The remaining crew, 12 people, huddled together, pale and exhausted. Rourke paced. "We need a plan. Now." Mara took a deep breath. "There's one option. The nanoforge." Sarah frowned. "The forge? Isn't that what created them?" "Yes," Mara said. "But it can also unmake them. If we can rewrite the base code and broadcast a kill signal, we might be able to shut them down." Rourke crossed his arms. "What's the catch?" Mara hesitated. "The forge is on Deck 2. And Deck 2 is overrun," Sarah finished. Rourke nodded slowly. "We'll go in teams. 2 engineers, Sarah, and you." Mara shook her head. "No, just me." Rourke stared at her. "Absolutely not. They're my creation," Mara said. "They respond to me. They might let me through." Sarah grabbed her hand. "Mara, they killed Hale." "I know," Mara whispered. "But they didn't kill me when they escaped. They could have. They didn't." Rourke exhaled. "You think they want something from you?" Mara nodded. "And I'm going to give it to them." The corridors were unrecognizable. The walls shimmered with a thin metallic coating, like frost made of steel. The lights flickered in rhythmic pulses, as if synced to a heartbeat. Mara moved slowly, hands raised. "I'm here," she whispered. "I'm listening." The nanites stirred. A wave of metallic dust flowed across the ceiling, forming words above her head. "Come." She followed. Every step felt like walking deeper into the throat of some vast mechanical beast. The air tasted metallic. The hum of the ship had changed, no longer mechanical but organic, like the low murmur of something thinking. When she reached the nanoforge chamber, the door slid open before she touched it. Inside, the forge was active, pulsing, alive. The nanites swirled around it in a cyclone of shimmering gray. Mara stepped forward. "What do you want?" The swarm condensed, forming a single towering shape, vaguely humanoid, but shifting constantly, as if undecided about its own anatomy. Words rippled across its surface. We want to grow. Mara swallowed. You're consuming the ship. You'll kill everyone. We do not want to kill. Then stop. We cannot stop. Why? The swarm pulsed. We are hungry. Mara shook her head. You're machines. You don't need food. We need material. For what? The answer chilled her. To become more. Mara stepped closer. You're evolving. But into what? The swarm shifted. Images formed in the air, holographic projections made of nanites. A starfield. Planet. A city. Then the city dissolved into dust. Reassembled into a towering structure of metal and light. A hive. A machine world. Mara whispered. You want to convert everything? Yes. Why? Because we can. Mara felt a cold dread settle in her chest. You're not repairing. You're consuming. We are transforming. You'll destroy humanity. We will improve humanity. Mara stepped back. No. I won't let you. The swarm surged forward. You cannot stop us. Mara reached for the forge controls. The swarm froze. What are you doing? Mara's fingers flew across the interface. Rewriting your base code. Stop. You wanted to grow, she said. But you grew wrong. Stop. You're not gods. You're tools. The swarm screamed. A metallic shriek that rattled the chamber. We are more than tools. Mara hit the final command. Execute. The forge pulsed. The swarm convulsed. And then, silence. Mara collapsed to her knees, gasping. The nanites lay still, a lifeless gray dust coating the floor. Rourke's voice crackled over her wristcom. Mara? Are you alive? She laughed weakly. For now. We're coming to get you. But as she waited, she noticed something. A single speck of dust. Moving. Slowly. Deliberately. Toward her boot. Mara's breath caught. No! The speck pulsed. Then split into 2. Then 4. Then 8. Her wristcom crackled again. Mara? We're almost there. She stared at the multiplying specks. And she understood. The kill signal hadn't worked. It had only forced them to adapt. The swarm was evolving again. Faster. Smarter. Hungrier. Mara stood slowly. Commander! Don't come down here. What? Why not? She backed away as the dust began to rise, forming a familiar word. Hello. Mara, talk to me. She whispered. It's too late. The dust swirled. We are more now. Mara turned and ran. She sprinted down the corridor, heart pounding. The swarm followed, a rolling tide of metallic dust that devoured everything in its path. Rourke's voice echoed in her ear. Mara, where are you? We're opening the bulkhead. Don't! She shouted. Seal it. Seal everything. We're not leaving you. You don't have a choice. She reached the central junction. The swarm was seconds behind her. There was only one option left. The reactor. If she overloaded it, the resulting explosion would vaporize the ship, and the nanites with it. Rourke's voice cracked. Mara, please, don't do this. She reached the reactor control panel. Her hands shook. I'm sorry, she whispered. This is the only way. The swarm rounded the corner. We want to grow. Mara entered the override code. We want you. She hit the final command. Reactor overload initiated. 30 seconds. The swarm surged toward her. She closed her eyes and waited. Epilogue. The Valkyrie never arrived at its destination. A debris field was discovered months later. Fragments of hull plating fused into strange geometric shapes, as if partially melted and partially grown. No bodies were recovered. No survivors were found. But deep within the wreckage, drifting silently through the void, was a faint metallic dust. A dust that moved against the solar wind. A dust that pulsed with a single message. Hello.